Is Will Cuylle going to make the Rangers opening night roster? We debate after the rookie had an excellent showing in the Rangers 3-2 loss to the New Jersey Devils. All this and more on today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers.
You're Locked On the New York Rangers, your daily podcast on the New York Rangers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, Blue Shirts fans, to episode number 908 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, John Chick. I want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, and we are, of course, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So Rangers come out on the short end of a 3-2 decision to the New Jersey Devils in Madison Square Garden just last night, Thursday night. Actually going to be back in action a little bit later here on Friday. Overall, I thought the Rangers mostly played well. A little bit of a slow start in the first period. First 10 minutes or so, they were kind of back on their heels a little bit, found their game. Like I said, just came up a little bit short in this one and had some issues solving Akira Schmid, who stopped every shot that he faced. I believe it was like 21 out of 21 or something along those lines. So we hope that Akira Schmid doesn't turn into some sort of a, Ranger killer. We've seen a couple of other goalies do that. Semyon Varlamov comes to mind, but hopefully the Rangers will get him when it counts in the regular season. But one thing that I absolutely must talk about for a little bit here at least, Will Cuylle. He has really, really impressed me. I thought he was absolutely outstanding in this game. One of the better players on the ice, really, for either team. And I'm honestly beginning to think that he's got a legitimate shot. They're not just like saying all the right things and, we'll give him a look. We'll give him a chance. No, I think Will Cuylle, he's firmly right in the mix for a spot on the opening night roster. He might be out there on opening night when the Rangers square off with the Buffalo Sabres on the road to start the season in a couple of weeks here. But they're giving Will Cuylle every chance. They're putting him on the ice in every type of situation. They seem to really be trusting him, or maybe it's not so much trust as much as what I just said, just giving him opportunities and seeing what he can do. He was on the second line in this game with Johnny Brodzinski at center and Capo Caco at right wing. Cuylle, of course, was at left wing, but he was also on the top power play unit. He's out there with Adam Fox, Alexis Lafreniere, Mika Zibanejad, and Chris Kreider. And I would say all those players, except for Lafreniere, probably going to be on the Rangers top power play unit to start the season. You never know how the new coaching staff might do it. Maybe they'll split these guys up a little bit and you'll have a more balanced first unit compared to the second unit. You never know for sure. But yeah, I mean, he was out there pretty much in the Artemi Panarin role. Panarin would obviously be in the top unit if he was available. But yeah, he was out there for the top power play. He was also out there killing penalties, made a nice play or two during the penalty kill. They are giving him every chance. And again, putting him on the ice in every conceivable situation to, stake his claim to an opening night roster spot. So a couple plays here from Will Cuylle. Like I said, I thought he had a great night. There was a play in the first period. Braden Schneider, a nice play to keep the puck in the attacking zone. Rangers had a couple of chances, rapid fire. Will Cuylle with a stuff-in try from the doorstep, couldn't quite get it into the net. Second time this preseason where he's been right there on the doorstep, kind of creating some traffic and a little bit of havoc in front of the opposing net. And in this case, he got his stick on the puck and tried to kind of sweep it into the net. But Akira Schmid with a nice save, kind of kicked out his right pad. I think maybe if Cuylle, and the announcers mentioned this too, if he would have maybe been just a little bit more patient and taken it a little bit further to the opposite side of the net, he might have been able to sweep the puck around the pad of Akira Schmid. But, obviously he's a young player. I'm sure he's excited in a spot like that, playing in Madison Square Garden, trying to just, stuff the puck into the net as quick as he can. And he had a defenseman that was on him too. But obviously he was involved there, and he's been involved a couple of times in situations where the puck has been in front of the opposing net. So that was nice to see. We also had Will Cuylle delivering a big hit in the Devils zone along the boards, kind of near the blue line there. Later in this same shift, Cuylle received a pass on a rush into the zone and fired a wrist shot just wide of the twine. I believe he might have hit the post here. The announcers didn't say it, but I thought I heard a sound of the puck hitting the post. Maybe somebody's stick hit the post. I'm not sure, but certainly the sound that it made lined up with the shot that Will Cuylle took. So he got very close here. It was Braden Schneider who carried the puck through the neutral zone. And then he passed to his right to Brodzinski, and then Brodzinski dished back to Will Cuylle to set up this awesome scoring opportunity. I feel like Brodzinski's played well throughout the preseason as well. He's come close to scoring on a couple of occasions, and unfortunately, just doesn't really have anything to show for it, at least as far as goals are concerned. I think he has an assist or two, but no goals for Brodzinski. But this was all part of a really, really long offensive zone possession for the Rangers in the Devils zone. And really, that hit by Cuylle pretty much set the stage for this entire lengthy offensive possession. When I say a long offensive zone possession, Rangers must have had the puck in the Devils zone for, I don't know, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, maybe even getting close to 3 minutes. They were swarming. And again, the whole thing started with Will Cuylle delivering that hit. It obviously allowed the Rangers to get control of the puck in the neutral zone, and they pretty much just took over for there. They were kind of skating circles around the Devils at that point. And this is a part in the game in the first period where it started to shift a little bit. The Devils, I thought, had the better play in the first 10 minutes of the first period. Rangers had it for the second 10 minutes. To move to the second period, as we continue to kind of highlight Will Cuylle here, you had a situation where the Rangers were on the power play. You got Mika Zibanejad making a pass from the left side to Alexis Lafreniere on the right side. Lafreniere immediately dishes in front to Will Cuylle, and Cuylle once again puts his shot just wide. So he's gotten close a couple of times already in this game, and we're only early in the second period at this point. You also had the Devils on a power play. This is also in the second period, and Will Cuylle's out there killing penalties. So again, giving him a lot of different chances and a lot of different roles here. And right at the start of this power play, he made a great play. He checked this guy in open ice. It wasn't like a bone-jarring hit. He didn't knock him to the ice or anything like that, but he put the hit on him, squared him up nicely, and separated him from the puck, basically stole the puck right away from him, and then shot it down the ice for a clear while the Rangers were shorthanded. So a nice play by Cuylle on the penalty kill. And then in the third period, you had Cuylle moving up the center of the ice. He kind of drew both of the defensemen toward him because I think they were kind of surprised as far as like how fast he was getting toward their net. So they both kind of pinch in, and then Cuylle, as cool as the other side of the pillow, no pun intended there, he leaves the puck for Johnny Brodzinski, and Brodzinski once again shoots just wide. So yeah, I loved what I saw from Cuylle. And while we're talking about Cuylle, I feel like we should mention Othmann as well. He was very good in this game as well, playing physical, a couple of early hits behind the Devils' net. And he had that goal that I mentioned with 34 seconds remaining, which cut the Devils' lead to 3-2 after the Devils had scored an empty netter to take a 3-1 lead. But Cuylle, I'm buying into the hype here. I believe that the Rangers are giving him a long and honest look here. And would I be surprised at all if he was out there on opening night? No, I wouldn't. And at the start of the training camp, preseason, however far you want to go back, pretty much the second that last year's season ended, if you told me around then, do I think Will Cuylle's going to be out there on opening night for the Rangers? I'd say it's possible, but unlikely. I'm getting to the point where it's starting to feel like it's better than a 50-50 chance that we're going to see Will Cuylle out there on opening night. As far as who comes out of the lineup in place of him, it pretty much would either have to be Pitlick or Vesey. And based on the way both players have been used recently, and based on, Tyler Pitlick looking really good in his preseason game, I'd say probably Pitlick remains in. He's at right wing on the fourth line, and maybe Will Cuylle's on the fourth line at left wing. And don't worry about him playing on the fourth line. I know he's something of a prospect, but he's very physical. He can play a fourth line style game. And then if the occasion calls for it and you want to spark, or he's just playing really well, you want to move him up the lineup, you can do that when the time is right and when there's an opening there for Cuylle. But I've just been very, very impressed by what we've seen from him. And I'm not the only one. Peter Laviolette has spoken very highly of him as well. Going to keep everything rolling in just a second. I want to just look at the line combinations as a whole. Also want to talk a little bit about Adam Fox and Keandre Miller playing as defense partners during this game. Got a whole bunch of other stuff as well, and we'll get to all of it in just a second. But first, got to let everybody know, today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by DoorDash. Need fresh groceries for the week, but you don't have the time to go to the store? Try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered when you need it, right to your door. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your favorite restaurant food, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKED at checkout. Limited time only. Terms apply. That's 50% off, up to 20%, no minimum subtotal, and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKED. Don't forget, that's code LOCKED. All right, we just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. And for the everydayers, definitely stick around. We've got another game for the New York Rangers a little bit later tonight. That's going to be Rangers Islanders, and we're going to recap whatever happens in that game once it has concluded. And obviously, we're going to keep our eye on, training camp practice, the whole 9 yards, the injuries that the Rangers are dealing with, the guys trying to make the team, the guys trying to be on the top power play unit, the top penalty kill unit, whatever it might be, and just basically count down the days until the regular season starts here. It's right around the corner, and just cannot wait for that to happen. But for right now, let's keep the focus on this preseason defeat to the Devils. We'll go through the line combinations here because I know a lot of people, it's always kind of a hot button topic, and obviously the Rangers are experimenting in the preseason and trying some different things, as they should. This is a time to do it. You got a top line left to right, Kreider, Mika, and Lafreniere. I thought this line had some good early shifts in this game. Alexis Lafreniere hasn't really jumped off the screen to me in his 2 preseason games. There was a play in particular in this game where the Rangers were on the power play, and Lafreniere had the puck in the neutral zone, and he's trying to, go over the Devil blue line and make a couple of moves, but he basically got the puck knocked away from him, stolen, leads to a breakaway for the Devils. Fortunately, Louis Domingue was in the game by that point. He came in for Igor at the beginning of the third period, and Domingue was able to make the save on the breakaway. But a little bit of a miscue from Lafreniere there. And I realize, he's playing right wing right now. He's trying to get used to position that he's played a little bit, but it's not his natural position. And it's only 2 preseason games, so I don't think it's time to wave the white flag as far as Lafreniere is concerned. But yeah, he hasn't really jumped off in a positive way, if I'm being completely honest, so far through just 2 preseason games. Let's not go nuts. But yeah, that's kind of where things are with Lafreniere. Second line, we already talked about these guys a little bit. Cuylle, Brodzinski, Kakko from left to right. I thought this line looked good. Cuylle and Brodzinski both impressing. Kakko, again, a couple of shifts where he was very strong on the puck and was able to kind of maintain possession in the offensive zone. Always nice to see from Kaapo Kakko. You've got a third line left to right of Othmann, Bonino, and Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler, I got to just mention the goal that he scored in the most recent game because I mentioned it very briefly, but I kind of just glossed over it, and it really was a beautiful goal, and it was mostly Jake Leschyshyn who did most of the work here. Basically, Leschyshyn had the puck. This is in the most recent game against the Islanders, and he did like a spinning backhand pass across the ice to Blake Wheeler. Wheeler was on the other side of the net, and he was there for the redirection into the net. But I just wanted to mention that because that was too good of a goal for me to just kind of gloss over in the last episode. Like I said, I thought Othmann played well in this game. And Nick Bonino, he's kind of one of those what you see is what you get kind of players. He does a lot of his dirty work behind the goal line. He was doing some of that in this game as well. He was out there for the penalty kill quite a bit. Additionally, and so yeah, Bonino, again, he is what he is. He's gonna be your 4th line center. And as far as 4th line centers are concerned, I think you do a heck of a lot worse than Nick Bonino. Nothing against Carpenter, who the Rangers had last year, but that was the 4th line center to start the season last year. Nick Bonino, to me, feels like an upgrade. I know he's a little bit older. He's 35 now, but still a gritty, hard-nosed player, and I'm glad that the Rangers have him. 4th line, Anton Bleed, Carl Henriksson, and Alex Belzile. I thought Belzile had an outstanding game here. And if we look at the Ranger roster right now, let's do a hypothetical here where neither Will Cuylle nor Brandon Othmann make the roster. They both have a chance. Maybe they're both there. Who knows? But let's just say neither one of them make it to start the season. I think in that situation, you're probably going to have Jimmy Vesey and Tyler Pitlick will be your 11th and 12th forwards to start the season, but you need a 13th forward, a healthy scratch type player. For me right now, that's Alex Belzile. I thought he jumped off the screen during this game. He almost scored off of a turnover in the first period, had a good early shift where him and Henriksson both had a decent scoring chance. So that was nice to see. And then in the second period, Belzile showed some really good burst. He kind of got behind everybody, up the left side there, going left to right on the screen, and was basically robbed by Schmidt on the doorstep. And like I said, I thought it was an impressive showing. He also drew a penalty right after Eric Gustafsson's goal a little bit later in this game as well. So Alex Belzile, the little we've seen of him in the preseason here, so far so good. He's impressed me coming over from Montreal. It's kind of an unheralded free agent signing, but somebody that, maybe he's in the mix to make the roster. I don't think he'd be out there on opening night. Never say never, but Again, if they start the kids, that being Cuylle and Offman in the AHL, then that opens the door for at least one more veteran forward. And I think Alex Belzile, if I got to make the choice, if I'm coaching this team, thus far, I think he's my guy as far as, a 13th forward is concerned. But that's, again, assuming that Cuylle and Offman both don't make the team, which, as I said before, I think it's looking like Cuylle very well might. Also wanted to talk about Adam Fox and Keandre Miller. The two of them were out there together. We've seen the Rangers, messing with their defense pairings a little bit in practice throughout the training camp here. I feel like they've slightly more often gone with Fox and Lindgren and Miller and Trouba rather than Fox and Miller and Lindgren and Trouba, but they are mixing and matching a little bit. And this is the first time we got to see them play extensively together in the game. I thought Keandre Miller was one of the better Rangers on the ice in this game. Looked like he was going out of his way to try to create offense. And he shattered his previous career point mark. That's a tongue twister. Previous career point mark this past season. And there could be more of that to come for Keandre Miller. It felt like I said, he was trying to create offense in this game, looking to, add that part to his game. And there were a couple times he was in deep in the Devil's zone, drove to the net a couple of times. There was also a play where he was in deep. He kind of moved to the high slot area to receive a pass. And then he got the pass. He circles around in the left circle. Right? No, that would be the right circle. And then drew a defender to him, played the puck in front of the net. Rangers weren't able to stuff it in there. But again, Keandre Miller asserting himself, going in deep in the offensive zone and looking to make things happen. That was cool. And another really cool play that Keandre Miller made in this game. I want to say this was also the first period. They were going left to right, so that would have been either the first or third period. Sometimes it all blends together. But Keandre Miller, basically, he's going in up the right side, and he's got the puck, and there's a Devils defender on him trying to, obviously do what he can to slow him down, separating from the puck, do whatever he can do. And Miller basically stiff-armed him to the ice. Stiff arm is something that you see in football. Running back will be running with the ball, and he'll just stick out his arm and knock the guy down to the ground. But we saw a stiff arm in a hockey game, and it came courtesy of Keandre Miller. So that was awesome. It was Luke Hughes. I do have that name written down here, the younger brother of Jack Hughes. So nice play by Keandre Miller. And like I said, overall, thought he just played very well in this game. Going to keep everything rolling in just a second. I want to also kind of point the spotlight while we're talking about the Ranger defenseman. I want to talk a little bit about Erik Gustafsson, who I thought played very well in this game and has looked good thus far in the preseason. And in my mind, it's still him against Jones, but he's got the inside track. And to me, and Jones played well in this game too, but I think Erik Gustafsson, what we've seen from him in his two preseason games, he looks to be tightening his grip a little bit as far as that sixth defenseman job is concerned. So we're going to talk about Gustafsson. Also going to talk about Igor a little bit because he was awesome, just like always. And yeah, just basically take a look ahead to what's next in Rangerland. And we're going to do all that good stuff in just a second. All right, so Erik Gustafsson, I thought he played very well in this game. I don't know. I didn't go through the defense partners earlier. And if I can look this up here and find it in my notes somewhere, there we go. So yeah, defense partners again, Miller and Fox. Fox, by the way, was wearing the A for this game. Along with Mika and Kreider. So that's always interesting to see in the preseason. Not everybody's going to be out there and who gets to wear the A and, all that good stuff for a preseason game. That's always just kind of interesting to me. But then you had a second pairing of Gustafsson and Braden Schneider, and then a third pairing of Zach Jones and Ty Emberson. And like I said, to me, signs seem to be pointing to Gustafsson being the guy. Even something as little here as the fact that he's playing with Braden Schneider. And we know Schneider's going to be out there on opening night. He's going to be the right defenseman on the third pairing. The fact that they put Gustafsson with him rather than Zach Jones kind of just seems to suggest a little bit that maybe Gustafsson has the inside track to winning that job. Now, who knows? Maybe in their next game, maybe later tonight, Zach Jones will be out there with Braden Schneider instead, and we'll see how that goes. But Gustafsson, like I said, it just kind of feels like he's probably the guy that the coaching staff is leaning toward as far as that sixth defensive role is concerned. And then, like I said, Jones and Emberson were your third pairing. But I do want to talk about Gustafsson here. He signs with the Rangers on a one-year deal worth $825,000. And this goes back to something that I talked about during the free agency period. We actually did a live episode where, I'm kind of keeping track of who the Rangers are going to bring in. And obviously they don't have a big budget. They don't have a lot of cap space. So they have to make some savvy signings, and they're not going to be anywhere near, the big fish in the pond, the big free agent, players that were available this offseason. The Rangers signed like 10 or 11 free agents, and none of them were making seven figures. None of them are getting more than six figures this season. Erik Gustafsson was one of them. He's making $825,000 for this upcoming season. He is on a one-year deal, but I thought he played very well in this game. He had success under Peter Laviolette while he was with the Caps this past season. Gustafsson early in this game, some really good moves and some good burst coming out of his own zone. He seemed to be a little bit faster than maybe I was aware of. He seemed to have pretty good wheels, especially for a defenseman. But yeah, he basically brought the puck from behind the Ranger net up into his own zone, getting toward the Ranger blue line. And then he made a really nice pass up the ice to Alex Belzile. And that's actually the play that I mentioned earlier, where Belzile went in up the left side and had a chance to score, but was denied on the doorstep. So that was unfortunate, but a nice play by Gustafsson there. And then we had the Devils taking out Akira Schmid with 10:37 left in the second period. They put Eric Kallgren into the game, and Gustafsson scored just 24 seconds after this happened. The Rangers, bring the puck into the Devil zone. Braden Schneider, a really nice play here. And Schneider, I thought, had a little bit of a rough showing against the Bruins. No cause for concern or anything like that. Braden Schneider's a really good defenseman and hopefully somebody that can be a pillar for this Ranger team going forward. But yeah, Schneider was very good in this game as well, but he brings the puck into the attacking zone. And basically, he really sold that he was going to take a shot here. And at the last second, dishes to his left to Gustafsson. Gustafsson was actually calling for the puck on this play, and he rips it, and he scores 1-1. That in and of itself, the fact that Gustafsson was calling for the puck, that's a little bit refreshing too, because we've talked about how the Rangers sometimes, they can be a little bit selfless to a fault, and everybody's trying to, step their friend for a nice goal. It's nice that Gustafsson was calling for the puck here and had the presence in mind to let it fly, put it at the net, and score the goal that tied the game at 1-1 in the second period here. Gustafsson, interesting player because he's played for everybody. He's had kind of an up and down career. And that probably makes sense when you consider the fact that he's played for so many different teams and he's played for so many different coaches, has probably had about a bazillion different defense partners back there, and never seems to stay in the same place for very long. Has played in a bunch of different systems, I'm sure. But again, something that gives me hope here is that he does have good offensive numbers for a defenseman. That's always nice. And even more so, the fact that he has a history with Peter Laviolette. Now, he only played with him for, half the season last year before he got traded at the deadline, but he played very well for the Capitals. And, the Capitals at the time, and even Laviolette, I think recently, were very complimentary of Gustafsson. When Karlsson got hurt last season for the Caps, obviously he's a huge part of their team. Gustafsson basically stepped into that role and became like the offensive defenseman and the quarterback of the power play. And it sounds like he really excelled in doing so. And we hope for more of the same. Gustafsson has a chance to be a big-time steal for the Rangers. And we've talked about how they've had this revolving door as far as six defensemen is concerned. And that's not that uncommon. A lot of teams are just going to have a little bit of a revolving door as well. And it's just kind of a one-year plug and play, one season to the next when it comes to six defensemen. You're not going to sign your six defensemen to like a 6-year deal worth like $5 or $6 million a season. So it makes sense. But, the Rangers, we can go through the list again if we want, whether it's Nemeth or Braun or Hayek or Jones or Lundqvist or Mikkola this past season, Ben Harper. The list goes on and on. The guys that have come and gone. Gustafsson has a chance, I would say, to possibly be the best of any of them. Depends what you're looking for. Mikkola, I thought was really good last year. Physical stay-at-home defenseman. Gustafsson, a little bit more of the offensive defenseman. So, again, it depends what your preference is there. But Gustafsson will be up there, and I think he'll be better than most of the names that I just listed there. And he may very well turn out to be a steal. Once again, just $825K in free agency for Erik Gustafsson signing with the New York Rangers. They had to be smart and savvy in free agency. I think they did that with some of the signings, Gustafsson certainly included. Igor Shesterkin, very good in this game. I've probably said that sentence more than anything else that I've ever said in the history of this podcast. That's the thing that I say most frequently, but he stops 20 of 21 shots, which is interesting because he made some fantastic saves, some highlight reel saves. The goal that he gave up, a little bit of the soft variety. I think he'd probably be the first one to tell you that. Toffoli scored on a backhand shot that basically just went through Igor Shesterkin. Toffoli was backhanding the puck toward the net. I'm not even sure if he was really shooting here. Felt more like he was just kind of, playing it toward the net. Maybe he had a teammate there. Maybe he was trying to get it to him or, just get the puck to settle in the crease and create some havoc, a stuff-in situation there. But instead, he backhands it to the net. It goes off of Igor's stick, goes through his legs, goes into the net, and it's 1-0 Devils, just like that. Igor was mad because he made an excellent save just after this. The Devils, a couple of quick passes and a good scoring opportunity. I want to say from like the top of the right faceoff circle, but Igor moves to his left, reaches up, full extension, glove save, probably his best save of the night. So he came right back strong after that. And like I said, overall played well. Yeah, he let in a bit of a soft goal, but again, preseason for everybody. Everybody's kind of finding their legs, getting back into the swing of things. And that is largely what the preseason is all about. So Igor was awesome. And obviously, there's a lot of things we can talk about with the Rangers going into this next season. Igor's up there as far as like people that I just don't worry about. Nobody's perfect and nobody's above a bad game, a bad stretch every once in a while. But Igor Shesterkin, one of the absolute best in the world, if not the absolute best. So yeah, Igor was great. Nice to see. He seems to mostly be in midseason form here. So yeah, let's go. Bring on the regular season. Louis Domingue, as I mentioned, he stepped in the third period, ends up stopping 4 or 5 shots. And like I said, he came up with that big save on the breakaway. Rangers were down 2-1 at the time. That was after the turnover from Lafreniere. Louis Domingue did a nice job coming up with that save there. I figure we could pretty much call it there for today. We got through a lot here today in a pretty quick amount of time, so that's always nice. But yeah, one other thing I did want to mention, fantasy draft. Everybody that's playing in the league, we've got our draft on October 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you are there. Reach out if you have any questions about that. But I figure, like I said, we could pretty much call it there for today. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well, at @LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that is at @LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to Locked On New York Rangers YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I will see you next time.